Hello, everyone. This is Papa Smithy, and you're on Thorin's YouTube channel, so brace yourself for some banter.
Right, this is going to be episode 28 of Elitists United. Me and Veteran are back. Our guests for this episode, in the bottom left-hand corner, we have Febiven, at least a top 5 mid laner to ever play for the Misfits organisation. Listen, I'm making it all compliments, right? This is going to be all compliments, no birds. And then in the bottom right, we've got Carzzy, the best player from Czech Republic who plays for MAD Lions. See what I did there? Perfect. Compliments. We're just starting with compliments. Exactly. So come on then, Veteran. Where should we start with these boys? It's got to be with Febiven, right? It's got, we have to basically sort of get him to simultaneously tell us like why the fuck Misfits isn't shit this season, but then also try not to make it too much about last season. But at the same time, we've got to get some fire about last season. Like, he's got to give us something. So, first of all, Febiven, I want to know one thing, right? Which is, like, are you on some Game of Thrones level shit? Because of all the people last year, how did you survive? Like, the entire building burning down, everyone's dead, or they've all gone. Like, why are you still at Misfits now? You're the only one basically who properly survived.
I mean, I don't know. I don't feel like. I mean, obviously, everyone is saying or talking about that last year was like. I mean, it was bad, right? But it wasn't as bad as people say it was. Like, if you have any kind of like self-confidence and like believe in yourself, regardless of like the whole like team, you know, especially like all the veterans we had, I feel like it's not that hard to overcome, especially if you are a pro for many years. You know, you kind of know what to do in situations that are uncomfortable. And I mean, I feel like if you reflect well, like it can only be used for benefit, you know? So I don't know. I just honestly, it kind of fucked me over as well last year, to be honest, because my reputation has kind of like dropped over the years, because of my play and like I guess people talk a lot about my behavior. So yeah, I didn't really have much options either. Which kind of put me into this position, I guess, if that makes sense.
I mean, I do think that there weren't any, maybe with one exception, bad players on that Misfits lineup that you were on last year. I think that you were really good. I think Soaz was really good. I think Gorilla was good, but like all you guys kind of needed certain kind of team dynamics, and you didn't really have 5 players that all kind of overlapped each other's flaws and thus created like a perfect team, right? There are teams where all you guys would be very obviously A-S tier players on, but this wasn't it, right? I just think this was like this was the super team mentality gone all the way and turned into one of the biggest wastes of money we've ever seen in European League of Legends history, you know? I think all of you are really, I thought you in particular were incredibly consistent. I think you've been incredibly consistent this year as well, particularly in laning phase. I thought you did a lot, given that you didn't really have too much given to you from jungle support like other teams were. This was a time when jungle was really ramping up as a role, right? But it doesn't really surprise me that you were able to stay on. It's just that you've really clung on, right? Like, were you always supposed to be starting? Because they were supposed to be starting Ronaldo initially, is what everyone was under the impression of, right?
On the Summon and Insight show, we had Amazing, who obviously is working as a coach on this team. He basically said that it was supposed to be like a competition for the spot, and it would either be Ronaldo or Febiven, and the idea is Febiven won the spot or something. Is that true,
didn't take very long, I guess.
I mean, it's not like, I mean, you could say that I won the spot, but obviously, like they wanted to have 2 mid laners, which I understand. They were really like going into this new split. They were really questioning my ability, which I understand, and like the way I would work with this team in particular, because I'm obviously a veteran. There's a lot of like rookies and stuff. So, I mean, I understand why they want to do it. And we're kind of splitting time in scrims. And the team has been figuring out, or like, obviously teammates get preferences who they want to play with. And I feel like right now we're obviously playing better with me, which definitely is showing in practice. That's why we're also using me on stage, you know?
Teammates actually get a say in who plays in the team.
I mean, I'm not sure, but I know that there's like conversations between coaches and
They
teammates.
ask who they
Yeah.
prefer, whatever.
You know,
right?
because I feel like that's also fair. You know, because if I'm a player and I would have to share my AD carry spot with another player, I would want to talk to my coach and have a say in who's actually better for the team, or could be
Sure.
better in the long run. You know, so I just think that's actually a good thing.
I will say that is rich that Amazing becomes a coach and immediately has a position where there's a young player and a veteran player and he wants to have competition for the spot. Well, that's certainly an interesting one, isn't it, Veteran, if we look at people's careers? So, suits you, Amazing. Good for the goose, but not good for the gander, eh? Right, enough of that. That's if anyone doesn't know the reference. It was talking about Fnatic like 3 years ago.
Wait,
Veteran doesn't know the reference.
I actually barely. No, I don't really remember.
When he
that.
was on Fnatic, he complained that they
Oh,
brought
the
in
fucking
Broxer and
Broxer
wanted
thing,
him
yeah.
to train him
Oh
up,
my
yeah.
god, but he
Which
spent
he's
so
basically
little
done
time on
himself as a
Fnatic. I actually forgot about that.
No,
Yeah.
that was why he sort of bailed quickly.
Oh
because he
my
didn't wanna
lord,
be there,
yeah, I remember
the
that.
backup.
Yeah, I
I just
mean,
thought it was curious that he, as a coach, he sees the value of it now. Because to be
In
fair,
fairness-
I get both sides of it. I get
okay,
both sides.
if this was Febiven, like, no offense to your teammates, but if this was Febiven versus Leader, I would assume it would be a lot closer. If it's Febiven versus Ronaldo, it doesn't surprise me that literally before the split started, he'd already won the spot. All right, like, that really doesn't surprise me at all. Ronaldo didn't even main mid in competitive last year, right? Like, he hasn't had anywhere near enough experience to be able to take on someone like Febiven. And consistency has always been a thing that's being in Febiven's backdoor, so to speak. And honestly, like a
Back
team like
pocket.
that, back
For
pocket,
God's
yeah.
sake. Yeah.
but honestly, a team with that many rookies
Sure.
on it needs someone at the very least who knows what they're doing and can do more with less. And Lord knows he had an entire year of having to do that, right? So, yeah. I actually forgot about the amazing thing. We actually played against them in Challengers Series, but it was like the fastest game that we had in Challengers Series. They literally FF'd at 20. Yeah. Anyway, that was an aside.
I mean, honestly, if like coming into this year, he would if he would start it over me, you know, I feel like it would have been like literally the end of me, you know, because like,
Yeah.
that just doesn't make
That'll be
sense.
the last
you know?
straw.
Yeah.
Like it's just like I should just quit, honestly, you know, like you know.
I think I agree entirely, to be honest, and also I would struggle to believe that was purely based on you versus his skill. Like he's not a savant or anything like that. So yeah, I mean, I'm glad you're surviving, and you're surviving in Europe and not having to go to Immortals like other of your ex-comrades or anything like that, or becoming a coach or anything like this. You are the last survivor.
Wait a
It's actually really-
minute. You say that as though like he didn't already go to NA for loads of money and then just like half shit the bed, run it down in every solo queue game and then come back and then have the goal to shit it up on the EU Super Team. What are you talking about? We pretended the clutch game had never happened now. Like,
Hey,
he didn't skip straight from like Fnatic to HUK and Misfits, did
He did not shit it up on the team last year. He did not shit it up on the team last year. I think he did really fucking well in the first split, and I thought 3 of his teammates were bots in the North American team that he was on. And then you know what? At some point you realize that maybe you can't actually do anything in this team, in this region, internationally, anything. It's a bit pointless. And he comes back to Europe, you know? You've had plenty of people come back to Europe with regrets, you know? It's really fine.
Okay.
And he didn't go back there. Europe didn't break him. That year in Misfits didn't break him. And I applaud that. I applaud not breaking. Never break Carzzy. You'll only have regrets. All right? Febiven's an example to you, right? Don't do it. It's not worth it. No matter how much money they throw at you, it's not worth it. They can't pay you any amount to have regrets. I'm telling you, man. It's never worth it.
Don't worry, I'm not going NA.
Perfect.
No
There you
matter
go.
what.
Good shit. Good shit. Good shit.
Why is Misfits good then?
Are you asking me?
Yeah, why? I don't know why. I'm still trying to figure it out myself, mate.
I don't know what is your definition of good.
They have good Razork.
Okay, all right. So Razork actually did really well this weekend. He actually did really well this weekend, and he's part of the reason why he got wins. The whole jungle leveling up thing last year definitely carried through into this year. So I would honestly start there. Like Razork was against an AFK jungle in Origin. Let's be honest, he doesn't really do anything early, and Razork did a ton early. And sometimes that's all that you need, right? Like,
My jungle is just a superstar, dude.
come on. There's a bit of truth there. Come on, Febiven.
I mean, of course, I agree. Yeah, I think the game against OG, the enemy team was just AFK. Like, I really don't understand why there's like I understand the hype around Alfari because he's actually good. Like, he's actually really good, and I understand the hype around Upset, but I think the other three, I think they're getting like, I know they're not talking highly about the support, which is obviously like understandable, right? Because this guy's actually griefing. This guy is griefing most of the games, and that's fine, you know. But if you have too many griefers and you only have two good players, and that's your AD and your top laner, then it's a bit BG, you know, because like jungle support and mid are actually like more important roles than the others, like in the early to mid game, you know. So I don't know. It feels like OG will be a team that actually won't beat us just because we have strengths in the positions that we need to have strengths to actually like beat them, you know. And like maybe late game they will outcarry us, but good luck going to late game when your mid support jungle is just, I don't know what they're playing for, but apparently for
Trolling.
late game, I don't know. I don't get it. It's fine. Like they can keep doing it.
Veteran, this is your favorite team. You're just going to let him basically say there's only two good players.
Okay.
Argue with me.
I think that there are 3 good players on the team. I think NateDOhDoubleG is still one of the best side laners that we have in the LEC. I think their jungle support doesn't understand what they're doing in mid game. They're not proactive in early game, and I think the support player. I never want to see this guy play Rakan ever again in my entire life. It was the worst thing I've ever seen. This is like illegal levels of play. That should never be allowed. I honestly think though it's much more of like a jungle support issue than it is a mid issue. I will fight to the death about NateDOhDoubleG's reputation for the same reason that I fight to the death about yours. I think he's absurdly consistent to what he does. I do think that in terms of side laning, nobody is better in side lane scenarios than NateDOhDoubleG is. He always understands when he has to give up pressure. He always understands when he can have pressure. He always understands when he can set up in the brush for someone. He always understands what to do, and he is like the pinnacle in that one particular regard, right? But that doesn't matter if you have 2 really good side laners and at least Upset's able to hold midsection, right? If your jungle support aren't doing what they should be doing around the map, you aren't playing for the resets you should be playing for, you aren't doing anything around neutrals, they are having like the opposite problem of what last year Origin had in terms of those neutral objectives. Like they're playing as if it's 2017 split pushing, right? Where you just kind of hold the split push perpetually until the enemy team resets. And you're like, great, you get denied a wave and it bounces back and now I reset as well. That's how they're playing. Instead of the way that Origin played last year, which is they would do that. And then if anything, they would kind of like overgroup for neutrals, which would actually be decent this year, right? They aren't looking to accelerate the game in any other way. And I think that's a jungle support issue, not any of those 3 positions. You say 2, but obviously you have an ego about mid lane about you.
No. It's not about ego in mid lane. It's about it's about NateDOhDoubleG as a player in general. Like he has always been like he's like the Bjergsen of EU, you know? Like
What does that mean?
Like you know,
a bit too safe, just plays stable or something. Is this what
no, like you kind of know what you're going to get, and you're never gonna get outlaned, if that makes sense, you know. Like those people will do their job in team fight, and they will like do the things for their team, but they've never been like the players. Like, for example, if you see Rookie play or if you see Perks play, like they're actually like dominating in laning phase, and also like forcing that early game pressure onto like the team.
Yeah,
because like NateDOhDoubleG has never been in. I feel like he's never been in teams that like have really dominated the early games or like really snowball. Like he's always kind of more farming, like Bjergsen, you know. It's like and it's, I feel like it's pretty easy to play around that if you already have a solid mid late game foundation. Then if you beat them in the early game, then they're gonna be like, how do we get to mid late game? So that's how I feel when I'm playing against them.
Okay, I would agree with you on that, but I would also add that he is playing early game without a jungler, and you know better than anyone at this point what that is kind of like. It's a bit difficult for him to pressure lane advantages in a lot of situations than it should be if Xerxes not doing anything around midsection for ages.
Yeah,
like,
but then you have to lead your jungle. It's like, just lead your jungle, dude. Like you are pro for so long, and if your jungle is not playing well around you, then you're trolling. Like, can't just.
Were you trolling with Maxor?
I was trolling. No, I was trolling with Max.
Okay, just wondering. Fair enough.
I was trolling with a lot of junglers, and I'm just gonna be completely honest. It's like it just depends where you're at as a player. You know, if it takes a lot of responsibility and like to create that kind of relationship with your teammate where you're like, okay, we're trying to win here. What do we need to do to actually like put that work into practice? You know, and it takes a lot of fucking sweat, and it requires honestly like a champion mindset. You know, it's so easy to just sit there, play scrims, say nothing to your teammates, and just go with the flow, and hope for the best. But I think if you really want to get to the next level, you need to push your teammates, like regardless if they will like it or not, or if they have to change their playstyle. And I think some players in OG have to change their playstyle. Like, I don't see this team ever doing a good run at Worlds, like from how they're playing right now, and I don't really see it changing because of the players, But that's just what I'm observing,
I don't disagree with anything you said in that regard. I do think as well that we're seeing a lot that there was some positive things coming out from Miffy and Cold's voices in that team, because the way the team plays out now is very archaic. Again, like it's back to 2017 rather than like in the future, right? And I think if anyone was bringing that, you have to look at the players that they've dropped, right? And so we might have to start thinking of maybe Miffy or Cold. Miffy's now like a coach and Fnatic. Were the guys that are bringing that, but obviously it's very difficult to know.
Yeah.
What do you think, Carzzy? Do you have any thoughts on OG?
OG, I think about Nukeduck, for example, I think he's way too lane focused. I don't think he's using the windows on mid lane to roam for other side lanes, for example. Well, their bot lane is kind of passive, and their lane management and wave management is not that good, I would say. Alphari is pretty decent. Like, I think everyone knows that Alphari is good. And Xerxa, I don't know. I don't know what to think about Xerxa on Splice. He was smurfing. Now he's... But still, he's the best Gragas. E-West.
Yeah, you just bang Gragas and
do you also think that they've had problems with Destiny, this new support player?
Yeah, well, everyone thinks that, and I think everyone's right.
The thing is, I actually had Opposite on another show I do with I Will Dominate, and I asked him straight up about you, actually. I said, is he better than you? And he says he is better than you. He says, you're just a rookie, he's a veteran, he's been he's been in the LCS finals. Are you better than Opposite?
Well, he can't say that I'm better than him. It wouldn't make sense. It's just like, it wouldn't make sense, but I think that, well, I'm good opponent for him. I wouldn't exactly say that I'm better yet, but I might soon become better than him.
Okay. What do you think, Veteran?
I think that Carzzy's going to evolve into the kind of player that people kind of wanted Upset to be, and people have kind of resigned themselves into realizing Upset will never become that kind of player in the future. Like the kind of, obviously, this name is being a little bit tainted by events this split, but the kind of like Forgiven-esque kind of player rather than the Reckless-esque kind of player, right? I think Carzzy's a lot better at knowing when he can push his limits, because I think he spent his entire life pushing his limits, and I think Upset's always played from a different perspective of trying to be as efficient and as economical as possible and then do really well in team fights. I think Carzzy's always been the kind of guy that starts the game from like level 2, right? Like Perk says, right? Game starts immediately, game starts now. And I think that Carzzy has a bit more potential than Upset. And I think that there will be a point in the future where he ends up better if he keeps going this way. So yeah, that's my opinion. I don't think he's better than Upset now. But I think that he can be better than Upset in the future. I think there's a very strong chance that he will be. Comp's the kind of guy who can only aspire to be as good as Upset is now. Right, between these two rookies, it's always going to be Carzzy. It's the only one that can go the step beyond. He's a bit of an animal, as you can sometimes see in game. I mean, you need to be, though. You need to be.
Being animal is good.
What did you say?
That being animal is actually good.
Sometimes it can be, certainly. Maybe it's like what Febiven said about Greek. It's like you can only have so many animals on your team. You need some humans as well to sort of like herd them around. You need some shepherds,
But everyone has to be animals sometimes.
But you're having you're essentially having 5 rookies, right? Like Humanoid was the rookie of his team last year, and he's only had like 1 year in. Is there a shepherd in there, like who's actually leading?
Is that like a leadership figure?
Yeah.
Well, you can't even feel that Humanoid was a rookie. I think he's very experienced and very skilled. Like, I have never played with someone as good as him. I don't want to boost his ego to clouds, but I think he's pretty good.
I can agree. He's pretty fucking good.
Okay, but who's like leading in there?
Yeah.
What, him? He is? Really?
Well, yeah, he's a leader.
Oh! Okay, I was expecting you to say either Shadow or a Roma, I'm not going to lie. Because they both have a history of doing that with their teams. Humanoid's actually leading from the inside.
Like
That's actually insane.
When we began scrimming, like Humanoid was saying everything. He was micromanaging everyone, and he was just leading the whole team.
Holy shit. Okay. That might explain a couple of things because he's dropped in a couple of other areas this year.
He's had a few games, mate. He's had a few. He's had a few.
He looks like one of the best mids in Europe last year. He looked like a top 4 mid minimum at that point last year. And this year, obviously, he's looking a little bit sloppy in some areas. He's micromanaging 4 fucking animals that just came up from the amateur scene, and I can somewhat understand why his mechanics are taking an initial hit, you know? Mid lane's not generally the micromanaging role. I think mid plus jungle does a really good job micromanaging the map, but generally you just think of the jungle role doing it. And I know Shadow had like a leadership position in his previous team, like Shadow and Gistic were essentially leading Maus. So I'm a bit surprised that it's Humanoid. How is Gistic doing, actually?
Gistic?
Yeah, Kaiser, wherever.
Well, right now, I think Gistic, like week by week, Gistic is just getting better and better, obviously. Like, it was kind of hard for him to play with me because we are kind of different personalities, but I think that we are getting used to each other more. We are playing some other games together as well, so we get to know each other better.
That's a good excuse. It's a good excuse.
Well, I think, to be honest, I don't know. I think Kaiser is like top 5 support, top 6. Maybe top 4.
Who would he be behind? Who do you think's better than him?
Better than him? Well, Hilisank, Mikix. Well,
Vander.
wait, Vandra?
Yeah.
Well, I'm not sure about that.
Really? Okay.
Well, I think Vandra has some
I'm sure about
issues
that.
sometimes. Yeah, like he's for sure more experienced, but his hands sometimes stop working. So
just those 3 then, or because right now you've got him as top 3. If you think it's a bit iffy on the
top 4.
Vander one,
I think he's top 4.
Right.
Wait, no, there must be someone. I'm missing someone for sure.
He's not even considering Denick. Febiven, are you insulted?
I can't consider my friend. That would be biased.
Okay, he's definitely better than Jack Shaw. He's better than Dreams.
That has to be it. He has to be third by that logic. There's no one else you'd put above him.
SK's his limit.
Okay, wait.
That must be. Unless you're putting like North Scaring above him or something, like there's no one left.
Yeah, Northscaven would be the last good one, and then I look at the rest of the list, and it's like, holy shit! I'm not going to say Limit. I'm not going to say Dreams. I'm not going to say my God.
Okay,
Right, so here's the obvious question then, Carzzy. So
I guess it's Wander.
If your bot lane's sick, you've got like top 3, top 4 support. You're playing there. You think you're going to be good in the future. Humanoid's the best player you've ever played with. Right, no excuses. Your team should just be fucking banging out LEC this split, right?
Yeah, I think so.
There we go. Right. Got that on paper. There we go. That's a promise. Sign the paper. There we go. Right. What do you think of where your team's at though? Because obviously in the standings it's looking great.
I think that right now, we should get to playoffs. That's our goal for sure. Well, I'm not sure how far we can get this split. I think next split should be a lot better because we are improving pretty fast, to be honest.
Sure. I mean, that was even kind of the logic that everyone used, right? Like when you played that first game of the split against G2, where basically like you almost had the game won, but then you sort of gave them a bit. Yeah, you gave them a nice big opening, and then they came back and won the game. And that, considering that's one of your only losses, the split's pretty good actually. Like everyone was thinking, right? Well, maybe they'll be good next split. They're already good now.
Well, yeah, but we still haven't played like the best teams so far. Like only G2. And next week we are playing OG and Fnatic, so maybe the
Rogue is officially not.
Wait a minute. Everyone was just flaming OG a minute ago. Surely you guys are going to wreck them.
Yeah, but like they still have the experience, right? And they have
Sure.
mechanics. They are smart about the game. They just have their playstyle that is not fitting this meta.
No, I think jungle support just doesn't fit how you should play jungle support in competitive at all. I don't think it's a place. I don't think there's a single meta where jungle support does well now. They have to fundamentally change. They absolutely have to. That can only come internally, like Febiven was saying. I disagree that there's a meta where Origin will suddenly become really top tier. I really love watching Origin play just because I love watching 1-3-1, but I'm not going to kid myself. They were always going to get outscaled by all of the other teams, right? For me, even though even you guys just destroyed Rogue, I think Rogue are still like one of the teams that's going to be competing for the 3rd spot, right? I also think Mad Lions could do that as well. Misfits may have to undergo some changes elsewhere before they can enter that aspect of my list. I don't know what's going to happen with Vitality. Don't get Melitza back, but for me, I'm not really deluded about Origin in this regard. I think jungle support is just monster far behind, even more further behind than I thought it was initially. Like,
what are your thoughts on Mad Lions though? Because as he said, I mean, he's not wrong. Like they have played a lot of the teams that now don't look that good, to be fair. So you've got a couple of big ones to really test themselves.
I still think Rogue looks pretty good, so I think they can be proud of beating them, and I think that they should be able to beat Origin. They keep on this, but then they are obviously going way faster than anyone predicted, right? Like I was one of the guys that was saying that you guys should be looking to contest a world spot in summer split, that you'll probably just about make playoffs this split, right? Like that was kind of what we were expecting from you guys. And on the first game where you guys were like 12-0 up and then you just like 5-man towards Drake repeatedly and over and over and over again, and that was your only strategy in mid to late game, I was pretty confident that was going to be the case. But then somehow you've actually sort of turned it around somewhat, right? Like you're still not macro geniuses. The game versus Schalke was like I wanted to shoot myself in the face sometimes watching that shit. You guys like had full control of Drake, and then you guys would just sit like by blue buff and just let them walk in and take it all back. It was like so mental watching you play that shit. But you still look better, I think, than all of us expected you to look at this point. The stuff you have to get right is not you're kind of like you have the right general idea. You're like kind of one step away from getting it right already. You know, like I'm a bit more confident about you guys doing well this split than I was before.
Nice. But I think the game against Schalke, I don't know. We have never played worse game than that.
Luckily, you were playing the worst team as well, though, so no problem.
True.
Although then again, actually, if we want to briefly touch on Schalke, because we probably shouldn't talk about the team much, there's not really a lot of positive spots there. One thing, Veteran, is like everyone had completely written Odoamne off. Like he was considered like a bust, like he's garbage now. In the last few weeks, he's actually been pretty decent considering how bad their team is.
I think it's really obvious if you're decent, if you're on a team where everything else is just on fire, though. That's the thing, right?
Sure.
I am glad he's getting the recognition that he kind of deserves there. That if you're going to talk about like jungle support mid being the most important roles in the game, that is a team where it's like most obviously going wrong for them, right? And then even when they replaced Gilius with Lurrox, like Lurrox just didn't do anything early game. Like,
by the way,
AFK.
I said this on Twitter, but I'll just say it here for the sake of getting out there publicly. Right, when they announced they were going to take out Gilius as the jungler, they were going to put in this Lurrox guy. There was this guy that they had from Schalke who just looks like some generic middle manager from a fucking German company. Was like, no, the reasons why we are replacing Gilius this week have nothing to do with Gilius. They're all about Lurrox and his potential. It's like, right, first of all, it's a fucking zero-sum game, you idiot. By removing Gilius from the game, he no longer gets to play League of Legends. Therefore, you are making a statement, which is, I don't want Gilius to play League of Legends in my team. And yes, you are putting in the Lurrox guy, but logically, if he wasn't better than Gilius, you're now saying you're an idiot. So which one is it? Like, you're either just lying, in which case we all know, we all have eyes. We all know Gilius isn't good. We all know you picked him up the last minute. We all know it was literally like you have to have 5 humans in the server. You just met that requirement, and now you're trying to have 5 good players. Now, you're a long way from that, but fair enough. You're taking a chance on one position. I'm just saying, don't bullshit me. We all know that Gilius is playing bad. It's not even a diss. The guy's been in, like, mate, that guy's got more fucking jerseys in it, of different team jerseys, than some of the fangirls that have been around it. Well, I'll leave that to one side. We all know where I was going with that one. So, you know, some of the people who went to LEC for the last 10 years. This guy's fucking collected those clubs. So it's not like it's a diss to cut Gilius, is it? Like, you should join the queue, you and everyone else who ever played League of Legends in Europe. Like,
okay.
Put that out the way. Now that that's out the way, we can all move on with our lives. There we go.
Yeah.
That ends the Gilius chapter of the show.
Ooh.
I guess we didn't have a week 2 episode, so I can still kind of talk about Gilius because the last time we saw him was week 2. I have to ask, you know, when they like dove a Rome top lane and then you guys like broke the freeze bot and then not freeze, it was like a slow pushing into them bot and then he just zoned Forgiven off permanently. If that didn't happen, were you thinking that you were just fucked? Because it literally looked to me like you guys were fucked versus Forgiven at that point, and then they all show up topside. Gilius, Abadage, and Oda1, they just all dive away my topside, and you guys just suddenly get to zone Forgiven off of like 2 waves, and the game is basically over from that point. Like, did you when they all showed up topside, did you just know that that was the go button? To, like, break?
Actually,
Yeah,
to be honest, I don't remember
you don't
that.
remember. You don't remember. For the love
I
of
don't
God.
remember.
Okay, I should have fucking known you were going to say that.
I deleted that game from my memory.
For me, the thing about that team is that everything. So Forgiven's being the one that's been getting like a lot of shit because obviously he talks the most trash,
Yeah, of
right?
course.
So, and Febiven probably knows that better than anyone else here. But like the games like that where he ends up monster behind, every single time he's on a good wave, somehow his jungle support found a way to fuck that up by giving information to the opponents that let them know that they could break this freeze on the other side, right? And maybe even do worse things than that to Forgiven.
I think that's communication issue though.
Yeah, it's either communication or it's a strategic issue. Maybe jungle support issue don't understand their role in the current state of things. You've never been playing competitive League of Legends in a time where jungle support did not do this shit. There was a time where jungle support never did this shit. This only really started becoming a mainstream thing last year, right? And Gilius might just be that far fucking behind because he never did that on Vitality either. And that was one big issue with Vitality as well.
Yeah. Well, I don't know, but I think that game... I don't want to flame Forgiven, but I think he was inting that game pretty hard, to be honest. Like, he did 5k damage in the entire game, and it was like 40-minute game.
I mean, he did.
Senna.
Yeah, but no, they were kind of in a really... I mean, I actually don't know if that stat is true. I'm just going to take his fucking word for it. But that game, like, bot lane was essentially completely fucked. He was not going to be able to do anything in lane because of the way the jungle support was playing. And because of the information that they were giving you guys. You guys just had full free fucking reign of it. So obviously his damage stats are going to end up being low.
The lane was pretty free, yeah. They were just... I don't know what they were trying to do, actually.
Yeah,
The game should have been over if he didn't. Like, if he didn't in that one Dragon team fighter, the game would be over in, like, I don't know, 27 minutes.
Yeah.
We fucked up a bit.
But I don't know, there's like a fundamental misunderstanding of how to play out the map in Schalke, and I do think replacing Gilius with Lurks was a step in the right direction there. It's just that that whole area doesn't have any leadership, any modern leadership of a guy who actually understands what it should be doing right now. And you can blame coaching staff for that. You can blame the players on there who are getting paid for that. But it's behind even the rookie teams. Like people like Carzzy coming in understand the way of playing competitive league that is now ahead of the way that these veterans learned to play it back in 2015, 2016, 2017. Right? And it really shows right now. It really fucking shows.
Since we touched on it earlier, maybe we can talk about Rogue a bit then, because obviously they came in with massive hype and have definitely had some unusual losses. Like, Febiven, what do you think of Rogue?
I think their bot lane is good. I think their top side is really overhyped, and I don't know exactly like where the hype is coming from. But
Mainly veteran, but okay.
like I have no, I don't know, because like they get a lot of hype. They're not doing too bad, right? I think they're 3-3 right now. But I just think that with the hype they got, I don't even know where it came from, but it's just like maybe it has to do with their outfits as well, because they look pretty cool, you know. But like no flame, but I think, I mean, I've laned against both solo laners, you know, and like
Here we go.
I mean, I don't know, man. Like I just think they have a lot to improve on. You know, like I'm not gonna say they're bad, but I think they are getting really overhyped, and it's like if like I hope it actually gets to their head, you know, because they probably think they're good, but I mean, congrats to them if they think that. You know,
Sure.
I don't think they are better than like most of the solo laners, like especially in LEC. Like some of them have good performances, right, in LEC, but I feel like they actually choke pretty hard in LEC, or they are just actually not that good, you know. So I'm not worried about them at all. Like I think there are rookies on top side of the map. They are really far behind of like the experienced players, and I don't know. We saw it this weekend. I think like their bot lane was completely like 2v5ing, and their top side was just running it down in mid late, you know. So yeah, I don't know. I think they're fine, you know.
I think
Veteran, you definitely
yeah.
were a major contributor to the hype because, like,
Oh,
almost
yeah.
every player on this team, with the exception of Hans Sama, you have sort of like highly rated. Like, you were one of the people saying that Finn would be super duper this year,
Yes.
and that it was the ideal time for him. Obviously, inspired. You have sometimes neglected to point out that he's like an Olaf one trick, but whatever. We'll put that out of the way for 1 second. Pretend that's not a problem. You pretty much have hyped all the players on the team. So what would your comeback be?
Okay, so first off, on the Finn one, I think that's more arguable because there are literally 3 S-tier top laners in top lane, and Finn isn't one of them right now. But he's probably the closest to becoming the next S-tier top laner. And the 3 I would say would be Wanda, Cabochard, and Alfari. But with mid lane, I'd be really interested which mid laners you think are better than Larson. Actually, I need
obviously
to know what I'm arguing
himself.
against.
So
I need to know what I'm arguing
Perks,
against.
there's 2.
No, actually, I think there was like a power ranking he did about mid laners, and he said like the Misfits rumored mid, like 10th place, you know. So like
I had Ronaldo in 10th, yes.
I mean that's quite funny, you know. But I mean, he probably didn't even know if I was gonna play, right? So it's whatever.
I mean, did you see my tier list last year?
He had you absurdly high. Even
I had you in A
shit,
tier.
basically.
I've always had you in A tier.
Okay.
So.
Okay, but anyways, like mid laners that are better than him. I mean, the obvious ones like
Perks.
Perks,
Yeah.
obviously, yeah.
Who else?
Okay, one.
Who else?
Wait, I need to actually see the list.
Nuke Duck is Nuke Duck better than
I
him?
think
Humanoid.
I think Nuke Dog is better. Humanoid is way better.
Are you? Are you better?
Of course, I'm better.
Oh, that goes up. That's 4 already.
I think. I mean, I can give it to him that he's better than Nemesis. I can give that to him.
Okay. Low-key shade.
Okay.
Let me see. He's better.
I just
A lot
want
of
to say...
people, a lot of people think
wait,
Nemesis is good.
I think Mickey is actually better than Larson as well.
that's bullshit.
That's his opinion. He's allowed his opinion.
No. This guy can't even get basic wave management correct. That's complete bullshit.
Bro, I play against these players in solo queue daily, and I scrim against them, and I play against
Then
them
if you want to talk about players who choke on LEC stage, he must be monster choking on LEC stage then, because this guy gets basic fucking wave management wrong routinely on the LEC stage. This guy's one of the easiest mid laners people to play against on the LEC stage. If you're gonna give Larson like a maybe you choke on LEC stage thing, you cannot then bring up to me I play against this guy in solo queue with Mickey. This guy is way worse. Otherwise, all the other guys, by the way, I'd actually agree with you are better than Larson, including Humanoid, which I will always get shit for thinking. But I will actually agree that him, Nuke Duck, and Perks are better than Larson right now. I will actually agree.
I obviously like definition of who's better is gonna be different, right? But for me, how I judge a mid laner right now is like purely based on like aggression and how smart does the guy play, like the game out, you know, with this team.
Okay,
But like the aggression is like probably the most valuable thing to me. Like
And Larson's lacking that.
in LEC for sure, yeah. I think in solo queue he's actually like he's pretty good, you know. Like I'm not gonna say that, like I don't think he's bad at all, but he just has a lot of things to work on, you know. And I think that if he's getting the hype right now and he can take the hype and they start winning and it gets to his head, it will be bad for them, you know.
Yeah, I do think Larson sees his early game role as just kind of control mid lane rather than accelerate his own laning phase and then try to play out the map with Inspired and the rest of his team. And very often Rogue are actually a team that will make 2 plays on 2 different sides of the map at the same time. They're the only other team that does that outside of G2. And I think Larson just sees his role in this way. So if anything, the thing, like he's kind of, you could maybe view him as a version of Nuke Duck that roams more if you want. But as a result, he wouldn't fit in your like aggression thing for sure. But at least he's doing fucking something early game instead of inting, which is what Mickey mostly does, unless you get a really well-timed ward against that guy's team. You know, that's the only time that I've seen him do anything.
I still think Mickey's ceiling is higher. His laning phase is more aggressive. He is as good or better in team fights. So
A ceiling argument for a player that has been playing since 2014 is probably not one that I'm going to give that much credence to. But I'm willing for you to go with that in 2020 if you really want. But I think if we were going to see him hit that ceiling, we would have seen him do it years ago. Years and years and years ago, you know? You're a player.
I mean, he does it. He just doesn't do it very often, let's be real. He just has the odd really crazy pop-off game that everyone remembers for some reason. It gets burned into people's minds.
even the pop-off game that he had versus Mad, like expect honestly, in my opinion, carried that. Like expect like in fairness, you could say that the pop-off early, which was honestly facilitated by that fucking ward, could have was granted by his pop-off, but expect was the one that really ended up pressuring the map and carrying the rest of that game, in my opinion, on the gangplank. Not really Mickey. And I just got really triggered when that fucking highlight play for Mickey came up and everyone was like, "Oh my god, this is so fucking good!" When it was Senna being giga fucking broken and Nemesis forgetting his flash key on the chain, but whatever. Yeah, that's it. That's my rant.
Febiven, do you think that Perks this year is better than Caps was last year in mid?
Yes, for sure.
Perks is a better player.
I think he. I mean, that's a hard statement to make, but I mean they're both really different, right? I think Caps is like obviously less, like you need to give less resources and he will do more with less resources, but I think what we saw this year, like with mid laners, for example, you had Rookie, right? I feel like Rookie is kind of like Perks, and then you have Doimbi and he's kind of like Caps, but they're still like really different, and I think in this meta, I think Perks is better mid laner because he is more aggressive and he takes more of a leadership kind of role. Meanwhile,
Sure.
Caps is like younger and he's like, this guy's reading the lore. He's having fun every day,
Sure.
playing his like fucking.
Yeah.
He's playing his Jax in solo queue bot
There you
lane and
go.
with like his fucking Taric support and shit. I feel like the role just fits Perks better because of the way they are as persons. And I think it's actually better for them. Like if Caps doesn't completely run it down, which he's kind of doing some games, but he's actually like mid laners are very smart players in general, so they can. I feel like most mid laners can just play any role and just do good, So
That's what does every mid laner say. My mid laner says this all the time. Oh, if I roll swap to AD carry, I would be better than
no,
you,
I
loser."
think it's actually true. It's actually true. Like mid lane is, I don't think people understand how, like, wide is this role with all the champions, the different styles, and like, you're the center of the map. It's just, I don't know. I'm not even conscious of it myself. But just over.
Remember, Febiven not an ego player. Definitely not an ego player.
I mean, it's true,
It's like,
though.
I am the center of the world. Look before
No,
me.
but you can't deny it. Think about all the things a mid laner has to back to be the best mid laner. Like, holy shit, the mid laner gets first say on the entire fucking map if he wants, right? Like, and at the same time, as Febiven says, that there's a massive breadth of different styles of champions that you have to learn. Generally speaking, because if anything is broken, it will get thrown in the mid lane, right? Because mid lane is the center of the map. From there, you have to make every other play. Like, yeah, you have to be. This guy just plays auto attackers, except for that one time where all of his role complained that they had to pick up a couple of APs, as if learning Vladimir is like the hardest thing on the planet or something, Like, we even have a case study now. Perks went bot side and suddenly became an S tier AD carry in less than a split. Like, I think Febiven can claim this.
I mean, it makes sense, right? It's like you have mages on mid lane, you have assassins, and like already those two, they change so much in different playstyle because usually if you play your role well and you actually play aggressive and you want to get the most out of your champion, or you are just an aggressive laner in general, it forces your support and your jungle to also play different picks. So it changes the whole team dynamic, how you want to play out the laning phase into mid-late game. And it's like a mage is so different from playing an Irelia or a Yasuo or something like this, It's just, and it's actually really hard because it requires so many different games on different champions. Meanwhile, jungle has like different champions as well, like different, like they have mages and they have, it changes, but it's like a less champions, For AD carry, it's always been like 5 champions. Jungle, it's like 5, 6. But mid, it can be up to like 15 or 20.
Sure.
And they're all different in a kind of way. And it's the same for AD carries, but it's like different, Like mid and top just have different.
I mean, it's always going to be a wider champion pool. Let's be real for top.
Yeah, exactly, and that's normal, So that's why I think mid laners are naturally better. It's not like we are better players, but it's just a role. It's what shapes you to be more flexible,
I mean, I think we're getting lost in the weeds on that one because really all you're debating there is like whether having a wider champion pool is better. Whereas, like, what I would say is AD carry players have to be the absolute best on those 3 champions. Like, if you get the Aphelios now, you have to basically carry the whole game or everyone says you're shit. Like, it's a different kind of pressure, isn't it? It's execution. Yeah. You know, there's more than just auto-attack in there, believe it or not, Febiven. Like, if for start, you have to flame the jungler for not coming, you have to tell the support it's his fault that he wasn't in front of the guy shooting you. Like, there's a lot of advanced shit as well as auto-attacking, you know.
Also, if enemy mid lane is snowballing the map, you also just can't do anything as the AD carry, you know? Broken wall.
Exactly.
Yeah, mid is broken.
There you go. See? The debate is over.
Basically, what they should do is anyone who's in Febiven's teams, take that whole rant about mid lane, and then every time you lose the game, just tell Febiven, like, but come on, leader, why don't you help us? Why don't you tell us how to play?
I'll take it any time of the day.
Okay.
I know my role is broken, and I know I'm in a really good position, so.
Okay, fair enough. Anyway, though, what he was saying, though, I kind of get where he's coming from there, Veteran, because I also kind of agree. Like, one of the weirdest things last year is even though I did think Caps was the best mid laner, it almost didn't matter in certain games what he did as to whether G2 actually won the game or not. Like, he could have lost kills, he could have had some kills early. It didn't actually, like, always determine whether they won. Whereas the difference is, one of the reasons I actually think Perks is an amazing mid laner is if he gets any leads, he knows exactly what to do with it. Like, that guy's an amazing carry.
Yeah. No, 100%. And that's one of the reasons why he keeps being like 80 minimum on my tier lists, even when Ronaldo's 10th. So there you go. I would never deny that. I think the way that Reddit is kind of like twisted his career is a bit strange to me, to be honest. Like, I don't know. I think it just shows like a distinct lack of actually understanding what it is that they are seeing, and it just becomes very results based at a point. If you are on a good team and everybody does really fucking well, then suddenly everyone thinks that Brox is an S tier jungler. You know, like that's the way that public perception kind of works out right now. Your contribution is only noted if you win through the contribution, right? And it also not even just that, if it's obvious. I would never deny like what you just said. So.
Fair enough. Right,
there we go.
Febiven's back. Right, Carzzy, during that little break there that I've obviously edited out now, I was just saying that the one thing so far about your performance on this show that has underwhelmed me is when Big Balls Febiven came in and he was just like, the mid laner's the god of the world, like doing all that, you know. And then he literally called you like just an auto attacker or whatever. And then Veteran was implying that like you just, you know, the jungle support does everything for you guys. Like, fight back a bit, you know. You've got to have something from your own. I was trying to have my best anyway, because obviously I think like all the sick AD carries are the best anyway, secretly. But give me your side of it, though. Give me your battle back.
My battle back about my role?
Yeah. Why is it? It's a pretty sick role, right? You have to be good at that role.
Well, I don't know. AD carry. It depends on support. Like you're dependent. You're dependent on other roles. Without a better team, you're fucked. You can't do anything. So whenever I lose, I just call team diff something. I don't know.
So if I just gave you Hillsang,
it's the next forgiven right there. It's the next forgiven right there.
If I just gave you Hillsang, you'd be the best ADC.
Yeah, no, Mickey X. Give me Mickey X.
Yes, a man of culture right there. Fucking hell. I said, do you not think Mickey X is better than Hillsang? Because I think Hillsang does more for Fnatic than Mickey does for G2, but that's just because I think G2 is really good. I think Mickey X plays more champions than Hillsang. I think Mickey X is mechanically better than Hillsang. If you told me that one of those two had to roll swap to mid lane, I would choose Mickey X 10 out of 10 times there, because if I put Hillsang on mid lane, we 100% have lost every fucking game from there on out, right? As Mickey could convince me he can roll swap, right? Mickey is definitely better.
I leaned against both mid, actually.
Okay.
And when I lean against Hillsang, this guy always plays Malzahar. And when I play against Mickey, he always plays Gragas.
Well, my support always plays that, so. And he beat Humanoid on mid lane, so I don't know.
Oh, shit. All right.
In that case, wait a minute. By that logic, what's your excuse then? You've got a 6 support by that logic. So you must be really good. You just said a minute ago, you know, the 80s support. Your support's beating Humanoid in mid, who's the best player you've ever played with. If we add it all together on a big chalkboard, you should be the best bot lane.
Yeah, I think we are. I'm better than anyone in you right now. I think we are like top 0 bot lane because no one can even contest us. That's
arguments from the rest of the group?
Yeah, I mean, I I would say, I guess Caps plus Mickey X should be better than them, but then they actually won that lane, right? So what do I know? I can't really say anything.
Okay.
I think Reckless Hill is. You guys haven't played Fnatic yet, right? Yeah. Okay. Well,
Yeah,
I can still
next week.
rely on. Yeah. Well, they're both S tier in their role. I think they beat you. There you
I
go.
think we will just clap everyone, and
Don't
then we are playing Misfits, but we might get a bit fucked there because there is Denik and check matchup on bot lane. It will be kind of rough, to be honest.
Okay. So just for the record, I think B-Boy is the worst AD carry in the history of the European LCS. So there you go. That's my
Not a big statement then.
Okay,
Fucking hell, the entire history of the LCS.
You think he's worse than HQ?
oh fuck.
Wait there, veteran.
We've had some monster bad
Veteran,
AD carries actually. That's
listen.
true.
I need you to just wait a second
Yeah.
because you were about to get in the way of Febiven. Febiven was actually gonna argue that that's not true.
Nah,
So you ready?
You're not allowed to say this, by the way,
What?
What do you mean?
Why am I not allowed to say or him?
because you're just wrong. Like,
What are we
I'm
not
also wrong.
seeing? What secret depths does Bavoy have in that Korean brain of his that we're not seeing in the game? What's good about him?
I mean, can I ask Veteran a question first?
Yeah, okay.
Hit me.
Tell me, why do you think he's that bad?
Because when this guy gets ganked for Febiven, I don't know if you've noticed, but he gets ganked when the wave is fucking bouncing back at him and Giga fucking stacking. He's decided he needs to walk up and auto a minion that isn't even about to fucking die to anything. So this guy is like, we're not talking basically bad. We're talking like a level below basically. He hasn't like mastered that thing yet. And then when it comes to like team fight situations, like out of the laning phase, etc., you can't honestly tell me that you wouldn't take pretty much every other AD carry that is currently playing, unless you really hate Crown Shot over him right now. Like, I will reiterate my statement to that he is 10th right now because that guy had to remind me that Hiku had a very long tenure in this league. So,
All right, that's
all
fine.
right, that's fine.
No, Febiven, that's not. Febiven, no, that's not fine. Why did you ask that question? He just gave you his reasons. He flamed him. Okay, what's your
No, but
side?
I don't think. I don't know what I cannot say anything to. I don't feel like I can convince you with anything. So I think it's kind of pointless.
Don't convince
Okay.
me. Convince the audience. You know, that's all you have to do.
I mean, I feel like he's actually like really fucking good mechanically. Like out of every AD carry, I feel like he actually has one of the best mechanics. I can tell for sure. Like this guy even has better mechanics than like most of the mid laners. You know, I mean, I feel like
Okay.
it's kind of a Korean thing, you know, but he's actually like really fucking good because obviously he spammed Korean solo queue, right? And he was like top 15 at some point. Like even when he went back or like before he came here, was like top 10 in the Korean solo queue. He is consistently performing in practice. I feel like his
Is he better in the practice games than he has been on stage in LEC?
No, he's better in LEC than practice.
Really?
Yeah.
So which game would I have to watch him play in depth to see that he is better mechanically than a lot of the mid laners in the LEC?
I mean,
Was there a game this split he was very good?
Yeah.
I don't know exactly which game specifically because I don't watch like his POV or I don't hold my camera over my AD carry.
You got to
Okay.
understand, veteran.
But
Like, remember, the mid laner
No.
does everything. So when Febiven carries the game, like it could be anyone
yeah.
playing Eddie carry. You know, you're not
Okay.
watching anything outside of mid.
Sure. Let me go back up over the things. Number one, NateDOhDoubleG was rank 1 in Korean solo queue when Origin bagged him, so I'm not really ever going to give like he's top 15 Korean solo queue credence. That doesn't
Nah, but
automatically make you
you're
a good player.
trolling, dude.
The second thing is that the reason why I ask you is that you said very definitely that you know his mechanics are better than mid laners right now in the LEC, and you also know for a fact that the way he plays in LEC is better than he does in practice.
it's
So I
true.
figured, so then you must be watching him. So which game do I have to watch?
It's not one game specifically in LEC.
Sure. So I can pick any of them out. I can pick any of them out, and he will display better mechanics.
Yeah,
Really?
you can. Yeah.
Okay. All right. While he's mismanaging wave this much, he just somehow has these god tier mechanics.
I mean,
I'll have to take your word for it, given that
No.
you can't give me any specific game, any specific instance, or anything like that. But sure.
What we're going to have to do, I can tell here, is this won't be solved on this show. We're going to have to do, like when LS does a stream and then he brings on players like Mickey X and then Nemesis, and he just makes them watch like a VOD of their team, and then he just berates all their teammates and says like, look, you've got to admit you're doing it wrong here. Like, we'll just have to do that. Like, Veteran will have to do a stream, bring Febiven on, and he can go, what's going on here?
I would never do that to Febiven in season, but in the off season, I would 100% gladly do that to you, and it will no longer damage.
All right, fair enough.
100% in off season, I gladly do that. But I don't know. It's like that was especially given that you've just stated how much better mids generally are than AD carries. That's such a massive statement you made.
No,
Obviously,
but
I made a massive statement as well.
Like, I wasn't really like judging mid laners based on their mechanics. Like,
Sure. Do you think the mechanics are enough to make B-Boy more relevant than other AD carries?
I mean, obviously, they're always, it's not like mechanics are gonna make the difference, but I think you need a good balance, right? So one thing we're struggling with is obviously his English, right?
Yep.
So I think once like the other things get more balanced, the mechanical skill will actually make a difference, you know? Like,
Sure.
depending on the teams we face. Like, I know, like, I'm confident playing as any bot lane or playing any team fight that this guy will play as good or play better than the animated carry in team fights.
Right, there's an obvious person here, Veteran, who's been very quiet, who literally plays the AD carry position, including potentially against this guy. So do you have any thoughts on this, Carzzy? Don't let Febiven bully you. If you don't think so, you'd have to say so. Just because he's acting all cool over there, all Dutch. Like, I used to be in Fnatic and shit. Just give us your thoughts. What do you think on Bavoy?
Well, to be honest about B-Boy, I don't know. I haven't seen any of his games in LEC. I don't know. I don't look at the games. But so far, what I saw from practice, I don't think he's that good, to be honest, like mechanical wise. But I haven't played that many games against him, and I haven't met him in solo queue, or I haven't played against him in LEC yet.
It's all right. You play him in 2 weeks, so we'll see what happens in that game, right?
We'll see. But like, I don't want to trash talk him before I play against him.
That's when you should trash talk, though. Trash
Yeah,
talking afterwards is
No,
is
I wouldn't
completely
even
me.
trash talk him afterwards, but I don't know how he plays at all, so that's it.
I get it. He's not worth the trash talk. I get it. It's just obvious.
Such a hater.
I don't agree with that he's like mechanically better, or like even with all the AD carries, I don't agree with that.
Okay. We can move on from the Bavoy topic now. It's not really going to be a central theme of the episode. What team should we talk about now?
You wait until you... Okay, talk about Vitality a little. I guess, yeah. Because you should wait until you get a Vitality to defend Jack Troll for ages. That's going to be the real argument. Like, holy shit. That guy is... Like, Febiven's the only remaining player from last year's Misfits. And I can understand that. I thought he was one of the best players on that. But that being said, I don't really think that they had, with one possible exception, any bad players last year. But I don't understand how Jack Troll's been surviving there. Like, we can't criticize Vitality a lot because they're still having massive visa issues. But, like, I don't know. Jack Troll's like a really... I don't understand why he's still there. They have Steelback in the Academy team, who was also Comp's support in the ERL team. That only Big defeated, by the way. So I don't know. It's kind of insane to me, the way that the roster's played out. I'm still expecting Steelback to move up in summer. I don't expect Vitality to pick up any wins until they get Militz in. I'd actually really love to know Febiven's opinion on Militz and Carzzy's opinion on their bot lane, though.
You'd like to know my opinion on their bot lane?
Yes, because you've played against Comp more than like anyone.
Or only Comp?
Yeah, well, let's do both Comp and Jack Troll.
Okay, so I think that I don't know what to say about Jack Troll. I can't see anything that he's doing well.
Okay.
I don't know what to say about Comp, because I think playing with the type of support must be pretty hard. I'd say that Comp is kind of clueless about waves as well.
Playing with a literal troll support.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, if I was supposed to play with Jack Troll, I would most likely lose it. But I don't want to play him. Like, he had some great moments in his career, right?
In theory.
Well, I think we will see someone else with him now on bot lane soon. Like, there are some rumors. Not sure.
The rumor I keep hearing is that Jack Troll helped build that roster, and that's why he's still there. That he was like the player.
Make him the fucking GM then.
Yeah,
that could be the support player,
promote
is he?
him to manager.
Exactly,
There you go.
yeah.
Job
Problem
done.
solved.
Yeah, exactly. Right there.
There we go.
Febiven, do you get to play against Militia in scrims or anything like that, or is it just Sarkin? Like, is
No,
Militia getting practice time, or?
I've never scrimmed against Vitality.
Oh, okay.
Actually, wait, no, I think I scrimmed them like in the boot camp, like when LEC didn't even start, and I actually
okay.
played against. I think I played against Militia. Yeah, a little bit. I mean, I think he's for sure like better than the second guy because that guy is really running it. But I don't think he's gonna make the difference, honestly. Like he's good, but I don't know. I feel like the rest of the team is like he's gonna probably be like the best player, right? But he's not gonna make the difference. Like they need to be really like lucky,
Yeah.
Wait a minute, Veteran. Surely, if you have a really good top and mid, that should be enough to at least make you like a playoff contender or something.
Already 0-6, no?
That's true. They're in a bad spot, but having a good top and mid in Europe's usually a pretty good spot to have the good players.
I mean, they're 0-6. They're currently not as bad as Misfits was last year when Misfits made the swap to like the all rookie lineup and stuff, right? But I think that they would have to change 2 positions at this point, not just 1. I think Schemes has areas where he is good. But definitely, like the show even began with us talking about how important jungle support can be relative to a lot of these other roles, right? Like jungle support and mid in tandem. And right now, you might have 2 working parts of that, but I'm not sure if you'd have the leadership necessary to have a massive map impact that they sorely need, unless you fix the 3rd one, right?
I don't think changing skins would help them though. I think.
I don't think changing skins would help. I think skins. I think Schemes is fine, but I think that he clearly doesn't understand. You think they'd have to change top?
Yeah, because I think Cabashard's. Yeah, I think they would have to change top.
Why?
Wait a minute, you don't.
He said Cabashard.
Is he not that good at the moment?
I don't think. I don't know. Like Cabashard needs to learn new champions, otherwise they're really doomed.
What doesn't he play? Do you think?
He has no idea how to play Soraka or Set, for example.
Right. So he's not playing the OP shit now, right?
Yeah, he's not. And that's like one of the biggest issues, I would say. With Jack Troll as well, of course.
I mean, I think Cabashard is one of the best top players.
I would for sure keep that guy.
Yeah.
Okay, maybe the meta just doesn't suit him. I don't know.
Thing is, though, he does play Aatrox, Gangplank, or Rumble. These are all like pretty meta champions. So it seems like a bit of a weird one to bring up there. I agree. He hasn't played Soraka, but then almost no one has.
Yeah, I think that Cabashard is good. I just think like that he doesn't know how to play the champions that are played right now.
So I think the thing is that right now, with the situation being what it is, they're kind of prioritizing straight carries on him as much as they can because they can't really do anything on midsection, and teams are learning to abuse the fact that how Vitality are going to play when they come into game right now. But I think he absolutely set as a champion that he could learn. I could see him not learning Soraka, but I could also see him not playing Soraka in this patch, because if he plays Soraka, then like as strong as the champion is,
you have to play around it with
completely 1v9. It's not a complete 1v9 champion. It facilitates other 1v9 champions, and basically makes them the most invincible pieces of shit on the planet. But this isn't a champion that you play to and have it just hard carry on side lane later, like Cabashard kind of has to do right now until Melitza gets back. But Cabashard, year after year after year, has shown himself to be one of the strongest laners, one of the best mechanical players, and just one of the best players in general in his role. He's holding S tier in a role that also includes Wonder and Alphari. It's probably the most contested role in Europe right now. And they've
had much better teammates, by the way, in that same period of time.
Yes, they have all had much better teammates than him. This guy has had, like last year, this guy has had games where he's been the only bright point of that team, and it's been enough to carry them to victory, even against like Alphari's team, right? From last year, the Origin game where he was Urgot, like that was incredible from him, right? Like I don't see that kind of carry performance from any of the other tournaments we've talked about. They've never had to do it because they have really, really strong teams. But Cabochard's demonstrated he's capable of doing it. He's the only one that's demonstrated it. I would think they're massively inting it, and you should never be promoted to GM, Carzzy. Not for at least a few years, right? But I would.
Listen, he's focusing on just auto-attacking people at the the moment. Like once he's got past that, then he can think about recruiting teammates.
That's actually true.
He'll never be a mid laner though. Let's make that clear. You're not the sort of renaissance man that it requires to be a mid laner.
I'm good with playing AD only. I don't need to roll swap. Maybe once I'll roll swap to support just for fun. Oh. Wait, did my webcam go off?
No. You're still in.
You're fine. We can still see.
Okay. Well, I don't know. AD carry is just so much fun.
Right, here's the team we need to talk about. I think this has to be the major last topic, and we'll see where we go with it, and then we'll wrap the show. Right, let's talk about Fnatic, because we barely talked about them. We only talked about some of the players tangentially.
Oh, God.
So, Fnatic, obviously, on paper, are supposed to be amazing, right? They're supposed to be like contender with G2 for the title. Carzzy, start us off. What do you think of the Fnatic team, this split?
Fnatic? Well, Well, it usually begins with Fnatic, like, they don't play that well from the beginning when they make roster changes, right? Or it used to be like this. I'm not quite sure.
No, it's pretty. I think that's a pretty fair analysis over the last few years.
Yeah. I think like with this roster they have much more potential than with Broxa because Selfmade has much higher ceiling. Well, I think if we give them like 2 or 3 more weeks, they will be the Fnatic we know, or maybe 4 or 5 weeks. Bippo is kinda inting. But I don't know. He's playing limits all the time.
I hate the Whippo topic ever because people will, like, obviously not you guys, but like the general public perception of Whippo is either that he's like S+ tier or that he's like the 10th place top laner, right? And I feel like right now it's going to shift further and further towards 10th place top laner, which he wouldn't necessarily deserve. How they're losing games is so infuriating. Like the G2V Fnatic game, they lost that because they didn't, like, you could see Reckless recalling bot side after G2 got TP advantage top, and he just cancels the recall because they decide to set up a play bot side anyway, right? Like, it seems like absent-mindedness in a way about the map state that is causing them to do this, but they were already on the right track and then they just didn't do it, right? And these small things snowball massively against a team like G2. Like, G2 went from that to killing their bot lane, bouncing the wave, immediately going top side and forcing a play on 2 sides of the map off of this. Like, they snowball like no other team does, right? But Fnatic didn't have to give that to them, even though Yanko's early path was really good. And if they didn't, I honestly think Fnatic hard won draft that game. It's just really annoying. It's just that Fnatic are a team that is so close to being like an S tier team alongside G2, and it's really small things like this that are messing up the games for them, you know? Or Reckless just not flashing when he sees the center binding coming in. You know, like stuff like this is what's losing them games, not some other broad-based macro stuff like I can talk about with other teams. It's really annoying because they lost me money on that game. But
what do you think of Fnatic, Febiven?
I think their top laner is one of the best players in the league. I think.
He just likes aggressive players, Veteran. I figured it out with it. What Febiven does is if you're not aggressive, he's like, this guy's just a pussy. So everyone who goes ham, he loves them.
No, I mean, it's just very, like, for me, why I talk about the aggression is because LPL has won Worlds twice in a row now, and you can see that aggression is the way to play the game right now. And if you're not aggressive, you are not you're not on the right track. Because I know that if you are not aggressive and you face the Shy, you face Rookie, you face I don't know, just any aggressive bot lane, like LPL bot lane, like, you're not gonna win the game. It's like they will play more aggressive than you, and they will play the game smarter than you. So I like Bwipo because, I mean, this guy is proving it to me. You know, he's rank 1 in solo queue. He's spamming the champions he needs to spam. He might have off games, you know, but I don't think that he's gonna have. I mean, I hope not for him, but I don't think he's going to have off games when it comes to playoffs. Like, this is the time where you have to get your shit together, you know, and they will go to playoffs for sure. I think, I mean, their mid jungle is kind of, I think they're meh. Like they don't really know how to play with each other. I feel like their styles kind of counter interact with each other, and I think their bot lane is. I think they're really good. Like they have really good fundamentals. It's like if Reckless gets a lead, they know exactly what to do. When they take one tower, they take your whole map. It's like it's very hard to counter it as well because the way Reckless and Nemesis play is like really conservative, and they're really good at not losing. So they always have like mid late game scaling, which they tend to draft towards. And then their top lane is like if this guy gets ahead, the game is lost. So yeah, I'm just curious how their mid jungle synergy will work out the split because I feel like they are not that good together. But that's like I only see that as their weakness. Like their bot and top are really good at using their jungle, but their only weakness is mid lane, I think.
Veteran, that was obviously the whole narrative angle as to why everyone assumed this was an automatic upgrade, is that these players had played together in the past and therefore it'd remove any issues Nemesis and Broxah had together. I'm kind of with him. Like, it isn't as impressive as I thought it was going to be. I thought it was going to be a slam dunk as well.
I mean, Nemesis has changed as a player since the last time that they played together, right? And we were talking about this United last year, that if you paired Selfmade and Nemesis again, you can't just expect what was happening on MAD Lions, but obviously not your MAD Lions, to be the same case again. Because what happened there was that Nemesis held mid priority and Selfmade just took over the fucking game and took over enemy jungle, and they were really good at that. Nemesis never had to learn to communicate like he's had to learn now. And since then, Nemesis has moved further and further away from prioritizing early game, like I guess you could say aggression, prioritizing early game priority, facilitating his jungle in that way, and became much more of a player that, honest to God, Hylissang was kind of carrying for long swathes, right? Like Hylissang did so much to get mid priority before they did something topside to capitalize on whatever Wipro was doing. And Hylissang generally had to unlock himself because Boxer never did that for him. I think it's interesting that you singled out mid lane, given what you keep saying about aggression stuff. And I'm wondering if that's the kind of angle you're taking, that he doesn't like enable Selfmade enough, and that's why they're not like synergetic, or what do you mean when you say that they kind of lack synergy?
I think just the way he approaches the game is more team oriented and less like focused on like when you watch Nemesis play, right? He's like looking at the whole map, he's locking in his Veigar last pick, like you kind of know like he's gonna be he's just gonna be chilling, like you lane against him and you just know, okay, this guy's chilling, so I can either chill or I can just smurf the whole map, if your sidelines are not getting too steamrolled, like this guy's champion pool is very narrow. His style is also just very easy to attack, I would say.
Sure.
But there are strengths, of course, in his playstyle because it works with his team, But I think if you would put like an aggressive mid laner in that team would be 10 times scarier, at least for me personally.
I actually agree with him on this. I think you're probably the only guy that has singled out Nemesis in a similar reason that I did, which slightly makes me worry about things because I've disagreed with you on other things he said. But
if we put Febiven instead of Nemesis right now, would Fnatic be the best team in LEC?
I mean, are you asking me or what?
Yeah, I'm asking Febiven.
I mean, I think so, yeah.
Well, he's certainly not shy about his opinions, Veteran. I'll give him that. I appreciate the honesty.
I think Febiven's better than Nemesis. I think Nemesis, even like if you just want to go to like really easy criticisms, he has a champ pool issue, right? Like this guy's done 2 champions in the last 2 years. Like that's great. On 1 champion a year, then by the time that I am 112, he will be partway through the entire list of champions in the game. Fucking brilliant.
No, man. For me, it's really cringe that like this guy is last picking Veigar against G2. Like, I
actually think that Veigar pick was good. I'm not gonna.
No, man. Like, it's just so crazy to me.
But
like,
Veigar is so OP, man.
What should he have picked for them? What would have been a better pick?
I don't care. Like, just not Veigar. Like, just stop. Like
something with early priority.
Like, he probably thinks it's good, and other people probably think it's good. But if you actually see and look how little impact he had on this game, it actually hurts for me to see because like I love Perks. You know, he's the best mid laner in the league right now, and I want to see this guy sweating. You know,
Sure.
like when we're gonna be playing as G2, like
Mhm.
you see every game that G2 has, Perks just smashes mid lane and
Yeah.
just gets to do whatever he wants.
Yep.
And if you don't stop this, you're not gonna win a game against them. You know, and I feel like players like Humanoid, like myself, who else is there? Like we are actually gonna contest like mid, you know.
Larsen.
But I feel like, I mean, it's whatever. But we are actually, I mean, they kind of just pick LeBlanc Lee Sin. It's like the strongest early game.
Yeah, they did.
Like you can pick, you know, and they were
But
probably
Larson can go aggressive. That's all I'm saying.
yeah. But do you see the set, dude? He was like fucking running it down in the turret. Like
I did see that. I did see that.
no, but do you understand what I mean? Like I feel like
I do.
even not even looking at just LEC games, just looking for Fnatic ahead in general and seeing Nemesis play last Worlds, I don't think he, like, yeah, he's good in the team. He does his job, right? Kind of like how I did in 2015, where I didn't have to do much. And I was scaling and I was also like good for the meta, you know, and then I could just team
Sure.
fight and shine. I feel like if you would play against, like if Fnatic would play against, let's say, I don't know, if they had a good mid jungle, I just don't think that if the silence are equal or balanced, that
Yep.
I feel like you can break open a game so easily against Fnatic. So yeah, I mean this is something that obviously like I'm looking to attack, you know, because every team has their weaknesses and strengths,
Mhm.
and it's clearly their. I don't know. I just want to see have Perks more competition, you know, because for me, I can't wait, you know, to play against him.
I actually really agree with him here, and even that the mid laners that he's are like the mid laners that can take it to Perks and that will inevitably end up doing well against Fnatic if people play off of mid jungle
Yeah.
like properly, right? Like I actually do agree with you on pretty much everything you just said.
And also, everyone is so scared to play like against G2. I feel like they are just like, okay, well, guys, I'm just gonna lock my Veigar and just sit at my turret and then hope for the best. Hope we get to 20 minutes, but the game is lost at 20 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, well, I will say that G2 have shown that early game isn't necessarily the best aspect of their mid game is, and there have been teams that have gotten significant leads against G2. I'm not just talking about Mad Lions here, because obviously
Sure.
Mad Lions will lose to mid game to like most teams, right? But there have been plenty of teams that have like got significant leads early game, including like old Origin and even current Origin, all of this versus G2. And then in mid game, G2 just understand lane setups better than any other team. And they just find a way to come back into the game. And then it's almost impossible from there on out, right? And in that regard, I liked the Veigar pick. I'll actually defend the Veigar pick here because the Veigar pick makes it
Oh
very
my
difficult. No, it makes it insanely difficult versus Veigar Gangplank to do anything around neutral objectives at that point. So long as you're not like, so long as your Aphelios isn't like getting fucking burst off to the fucking side before anything happens around Drake or Baron or any of these neutral objectives. And if I think there's a way absolutely to play out that game where they fucking win. There's absolutely a way to play out that game.
No
where
way,
they fucking
no
win.
way. There's
Nah,
no way.
you haven't iterated anything about the Veigar pick other than the fact that like Perks is going to be able to do kind of more or less what he wants early on the map, right? But like honestly, there comes the point where Veigar around neutral objectives is incredibly fucking broken. Like remember when people were picking Veigar into like Skarner Azir? Did you disagree with doing Veigar picks then? Because Skarner Azir can't accelerate anything around those guys versus Aatrox Rise, it becomes pretty similar at that point. Or do you
I think-
actually disagree on the
I
premise
think-
there about Azir Skarner?
No, I think that this champion is just exactly how I describe Nemesis. It's like
I don't disagree with that. I don't disagree with
it's
that.
like you know what you're gonna get, and it's so easy to play around. Veigar is a champion. He has a slow, he has a box, and he has burst. There's like, and you have no mobility. You know, there's like no side laning. You can't just you're immobile in team fight. You get countered really hard by flanks. You get countered by split pushing. Yeah, as you said, you can get objective control. But how many games does G2 actually play around objectives? They get a 5 gold,
Yeah.
5k gold
Not
advantage
many,
because
sure.
they just take every turret and they just keep map control and tempo. So even if you go for objective, they don't give a fuck, and they will just take one tower and they will dive you on the tower.
Actually, you are actually completely correct there. You are actually
Basically,
no. He's actually.
Wait there. Say it again because you promised you might cut out when you went.
Oh, I did. I said actually, he is completely correct there. He's actually completely correct there. I can bring up the best example for this. You remember like Origin versus G2 last year spring when Origin had really good early leads against G2? Origin went for like every fucking Drake on the map, and every time they did that, G2 just took towers, took map tempo, got first reset off, and they came back into the game every time off of that. And then in the third game, Origin just lost their mental because there was nothing that they could do because they had neutral. I actually accept that argument against the fucking Veigar pick. If you know how G2 are going to fucking play out, you're just giving them what they want because they're not going to care about the neutrals. I actually agree with you there.
It's crazy. Like I don't know.
I actually like that.
I
Also,
feel
you guys,
remember-
but
remember Veteran.
he understands this amount of teams, and he thinks mid lane is a micromanagement. Well, he should just win the whole fucking split at this point. By the way, I'm just saying there are two teams you've identified how they play incredibly fucking well. You have no idea how rare it is for me to hear a player do that. Like, I'm not like sucking your dick randomly or something here. It's so fucking rare for a player to actually correctly identify how teams play out. That was an argument that was actually like really well done, to be honest. I accept that argument against Veigar. I do not accept Yamato's argument against Veigar. But I accept
like I only even spoke about like mid-late game, you know? Like this champ in lane is also not a champ. So good luck.
Yeah.
Like your side lane, do you see how many times this Ryze went up? And the reason why Bripo was like 50 CS behind is because his mid laner is AFK. And that shit is something that it doesn't trigger me, but I could see what I would have done in the situation differently, and then the game would be completely different. If that makes sense, you know? But I'm gonna be glad, I'm happy if this guy blocks Veigar, you know, and like I mean
I'll agree with you slightly less there, only because the reason why they were able to open a play on top side was because bot side fucked up massively, and they fucked up on their own.
Yeah, but you
right?
get what I mean, right? Veigar is just static, and like he's gonna dominate the whole map, which is what you have to do against Nemesis, because this guy is gonna be AFK mid, and the only time he makes a play on side lane or for his team is when he TPs.
Sure.
You know?
I don't disagree there.
Right, there's only two teams we haven't talked about, so why don't we just talk about those two teams, call it a day? So what about XL? Like a team that already, I think, they've probably overperformed for some people.
Yeah, they've done really, I mean, they are kind of like proof that Young Buck actually is like a legitimately good coach, right? Even outside of when he has really, really strong teams. Because obviously this guy's only really been with big name teams, with big name players. But on this team, this isn't a team many people expected to do that well outside of the fact that he is there, right? And it's actually doing really well. And you can see the systemic approach that they have to the game that's kind of reminiscent of old Fnatic. You can also see areas where they clearly still need to improve, right? Like they threw a game this weekend because they decided that Baron was the most important thing in the fucking world for them, right? There's clearly still a lot to learn on that team. But I am really impressed by how it's gone. I'm really glad that people are recognizing that Patrick or Sheriff or whatever, like still has it, right? I'm glad that everyone seems to have actually recognized that Casual is a really, really strong jungler. And at the very least, people aren't saying Loscarin is the worst support in the league anymore. That's nice. But you could argue that's because other supports in the league are just taking that from him. But,
see, all you need to do, Veteran, is get with Febiven on the Mickey hype train. You can just say all the players are underrated.
I would say that like if you don't ban Gangplank, you'll probably regret it against Expect. Like I still disagree with a lot of choices Expect makes in lane. I still think he's far too safe a laner. Like again, it comes to that dichotomy Dan brought up that like he will literally never do anything to you if his jungler is on the other side of the map. He will just do nothing. He doesn't understand those kinds of windows, right? But he understands how to play outside lane. That's pretty good at the very least. Like they don't have the worst roster, but they don't have a roster people would expect to be taking the fight to top teams like they have been doing, and a lot of that has come down to the fact they have a map understanding above a lot of fucking teams right now, and you can only really attribute that to Young Buck at this point.
What do you think, Carzzy, XL?
Well, about XL, they kind of surprised me as well. I thought they would be like, bottom tier team. I only thought that Patrick would be like decent player on the roster, or actually Kadriel as well. I think that Expect is kind of a coin flip player, to be honest. Like he has his ups and downs. I strongly disagree. If I think that Expect is good, because I don't know, that guy, sometimes what he does is blowing my mind off.
I wouldn't call him a coin flip player because that kind of implies, but if anything to me, he just kind of does nothing unless it's like 100% guaranteed play, right? That's my issue with him. But yeah.
Well, for Mickey, here Febe is hyping him way too much, I think. Well, from my mid laner's perspective, Mickey is dead fish.
Go. And your mid laner's like a killer whale.
No, my mid laner is assassin. I don't know. Like
There we go. Okay.
I don't really look at other mid laners, but I trust Marek, a humanoid. I know he just when someone is boosted, he sees it, and he doesn't think that Mickey is good at all. So even though Mickey stomped him in that game, I still agree with him.
It's the mid lane ego.
Yeah, it's
There
the
we
mid
go.
lane ego.
There we
It doesn't
go.
matter. If you get stomped, it's just unfortunate.
I mean, of course.
What do you think of Excel and Febiven?
I mean, I agree. I think their top lane is a flipper, but I don't think like he's bad. He's just like really inconsistent, you know. Like especially in practice. Like wow, that guy. That guy is a
Wait.
flipper for sure.
But you shouldn't talk about practice that much, no?
I mean,
If you notice, Febiven
I'm
just takes the
insane.
whole game. No, Febiven watches you in solo queue. He watches you he just takes the entire. He's like a holistic judge
no,
of League of Legends.
of course. But I think you should consider those things when you're actually judging a player. Like I think it's
Sure.
nothing to be like. I mean, it's just my opinion, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, I think their jungle is. I like him. I'm not sure exactly about his jungle priorities, but I think he's fucking smart. I mean, I rate Mickey highly because I think when he has good games, he has really good games. When he has bad games, he has really bad games, and he has to limit those. But I think, like, I base a player on obviously aggression and like the ceiling I think the guy has, or like the best games he had. You know, like of course this guy had many bad games, but like I don't really look at those, you know, because as a player myself, like obviously I should look at my bad games, you know, but I feel like I get more out of my good games where I can push myself even further to have an even better game, you know. And for bot lane, I think they're pretty boosted.
I disagree.
Oh, wait, you think both Patrick and Norscaran are bad?
I think Norscaran is carrying him down. You have to agree with this.
I think their AD is. I mean, it's pointless to say that they're boosted, but they're just average. Like they're just average. Like you know what you're going to get. It's like one of those bot lanes, you know. They're not gonna carry the game for you, but they're just gonna do their job, you know.
Oh, that's true.
I mean, that makes them less of a flipper than top, surely.
Like they're not gonna take your bot turret and take the herald and take the mid turret and go top and take the whole map, you know, and never be unkillable in team fights. Like
That's
this Patrick guy and they were playing. I was playing LeBlanc against them in LEC, and this Rakan was like never trying to mark me, you know, like every time I think I had like 25 Ws for free without me getting touched and like poking them down or like getting a good flank, you know. But a good Rakan will make sure that when I jump in that I will get one-shotted, you know, because they also had Gragas, I think. Actually, no, they had Jarvan in that game, but they had other CCs, you know, they had Morgana and they had Rakan.
Oh, fuck.
But like
yeah,
these are the things, like the small things. Like the small mechanical things that make the difference for me is in the team fights where you know exactly who to mark as a support.
Yep.
And you know how to, basically how to nullify the enemy winning condition, you know? Because that's basically LeBlanc. Like, I feel like people are really bad against this champ, but it's actually like, as a mid laner, I don't like to pick this champ because I feel like it's so easy to counter because I understand the champion so well.
Yep.
But the opponents are like losing their
Just shocked
minds.
that they're not
Do you
doing
know?
it.
No, exactly. They just don't know what to do. Like poor AD carries are like, if I would play, let's say, last year we would play against fucking what is it? Like Akali mid lane, you know? Like my AD carry would not understand any ability of this champion, and he would just like lose his mind, you know, and just get one shot at. Meanwhile, like it's a good example actually. LeBlanc against Hansama, you know, like he doesn't know how much damage he does. He doesn't know what combos you have, and I feel like sometimes it goes into my disadvantage because I believe that it's easy to counter, but then actually people have no clue. So it's hard to find a balance whether a champion is actually like good or just good because you're playing as boosted players, if that makes sense. You know?
Right. Yeah, it makes a lot of sense.
So do you kind of disagree with like the LeBlanc blind priority? That's like really heavy right now. Once like Kiana's out, Lucian's out, Akali's out.
Well, technically, I can answer that for you. He doesn't because it's working, but he basically, if he played every other role in the game, he'd shut himself right down. So mid lane you go again indirectly.
No, it actually, you're right. Like I pick it because people are boosted. I don't think like actually before we played LEC, like I didn't have the champion on my priority list, you know.
Yeah.
But then playing scrims, and then you play LEC, and then I mean my first LeBlanc game wasn't good, but I think that was honestly more like of like I don't think it was my individual performance, but
the one
I
versus Rogue you're talking about? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
But there's only one team left, so let's just talk briefly about SK maybe. Veteran, start me off. Now, everyone, you were saying this was going to be the worst team in the league, right? Which technically they still could be. The only teams they've beaten are the other worst teams.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's not, that's definitely not over.
So,
but there are also some really bad other teams, so come on.
Okay. Let's look at the rosters down below them. Right? By Vitality are literally like being screwed by like European regulations right now and visa issues and all that. All right, like
we can put an asterisk on that one.
Completely fine. All right, and then Schalke, like, come on, like that bad, really? Like, no, I don't think anyone expected that. I'll gladly take the fool. I'm not predicting that, so long as everyone else takes an equal fool on that. All right, I'm perfectly fine on that. I thought they'd be shit in summer, but spring, no one predicted this. All right, SK are still the worst in a reality that isn't like completely skewed by this Schalke collapse in the European regulations. But I mean, it's a team that is essentially still a team of inexperienced players that doesn't really have like veterancy coming out of it from anyone but Trick. And let's be real, Trick's level 2 gank that he did versus Schalke was actually the first shit that we saw him do early for the last like 3 weeks. Like at that point, fucking no one expected him to do anything at that point. This guy, you're shaking your head, so I really want to know what the fuck you want to say. But this guy doesn't do shit early, man. This guy doesn't do shit. He doesn't fix waves. He doesn't fix waves. He doesn't gank. He just fucking AFK farms on shit like Rek'Sai for ages until he literally has the lowest damage that anybody has had pre 20 minutes at 512. Like, come on, man. Like, this guy is really.
I know Febiven's coming with a straight fire.
Yeah,
so come on,
I'm waiting.
Hit us with it.
He's the first guy that argues this.
I mean, I saw their last draft, and it was honestly mind blowing. Like, if you're if you're a jungler and you have so much experience, and you pick Elise when you have Ornn and Diana as solo lanes, like, I don't know, man. Like, you deserve to lose. Like, that game. Like, no, it's really bad. And
I would also say that.
I don't understand. How do you not understand that?
What do you mean?
How you can play triple AP topside, and you play Elise without Ornn top lane? Like,
oh, you mean then?
What are you actually smoking? You know? Like,
No. I think that they've only had like one good game really early on draft against Vitality, and they mostly won that draft because they were the only guys that brought out Vel'Koz versus Cassiopeia.
That's one of those champs. Like,
you would never play Vel'Koz into Cassiopeia. For the love of God!
No, I would never play Vel'Koz because this champ is just. I mean,
it's in the Veigar box.
It's in the Veigar box. Exactly. It's.
I mean, he has no mobility. He can't really.
Exactly.
But he wins his lane matchup and can't do shit either. It's like Vel'Koz is really good in some situations.
Anything that starts with a V, I'm not playing.
Yeah, but that's your disadvantage. That's your fucking disadvantage.
No Vladimir ever. No matter how, when Vladimir becomes broken again, no Vladimir.
Humanoid is playing Vel'Koz for sure.
Oh, there you go. Nice
every good mid laner is playing Vel'Koz.
Okay. I mean, I would accept that their drafts are like really bad and don't give many options, but it's not like when we see the games that Trick doesn't have options for things to do around the map that he is just fucking.
No, it looks like
he's 100%.
It looks like he's playing locked screen and just his team is not saying anything and like I don't know, all their laners are average, so you get average results. It's just what it is, you know.
I would like the thing about their laners is that their laners have like peaks and they have lows, right? But the problem is that their peaks put them into like B tier in their roles right now, right? And their lows obviously put them into D tier.
Yeah.
Like Crownshot in particular is a massive flipper in this regard, right? The bot lane gel was a massive flipper. Yeah, and then you put Limit in there, right? Limit doesn't have that much experience. Trick's obviously not doing leadership. It's like he's playing on lock screen, like you said. So who's actually developing this team in game, right? Like you can say they have coaching staff and the coaching staff should be doing all of this stuff, but in the end, they need someone to trust in game that they definitely trust knows what the fuck they are doing and can lead them through this and give some degree of comfort. And they don't have that, which is why everyone put them as like the 10th place team. No one predicted how bad Schalke would be.
I think Crownshot is shot calling all the time. No, like they mostly when they are even in the game or ahead, it's mostly only because of the bot lane.
Yeah.
And like they are doing those proactive swaps for Herald 8 minutes all the time.
I think he's their best player for sure. Like,
Yeah.
by a big margin.
I would agree. I was more on board with Sakura being Sakura or Genex maybe being the best player until this split, but this split definitely not. This split definitely not. It's not really arguable. Genex has some good games last split. I see you laughing, but Genex had some good games last split, man.
I'm just happy, man.
Why are you happy?
Because he gets to play against these players.
True, actually.
There you go. It's obvious, isn't
I
it?
don't know. Like, I don't know. It doesn't feel that hard to shine like nowadays. You know.
You're just that good, Febiven. You're just that good.
Well, to be fair, he did just play a whole year in Misfits, so now he's like fucking. It's like he's got out of prison, and it's like Shawshank Redemption or something. He's just got out of that pipe of shit. He's like, I'm free. Oh, this is amazing. I have teammates. I can do everything. I can lock shit in. It's awesome.
Actually, I can't do that. I can actually like, I don't know. I can just dictate my team, and they will do everything for me. So it's pretty nice.
That's pretty good.
Yeah,
Not bad.
but it's so sad to say that we're saying that like he has a massive. They got Soaz, Hans Sammer, Gorilla. Like it's kind of sad to say that. Like that shows that just getting like good players isn't everything, right?
When you had that team, Febiven, once you had started losing all the games, had like everything just collapsed even internally? Like, did all the players have like low confidence and think they were shit? Like, was it a really bad environment?
Yeah, I mean, I think no one really like when you come into a team with 5 good supposedly good players. Like you instantly, depending on how your how do you say, like how your personality is, you just become relaxed when everyone else is relaxed, and you kind of get into an environment where, okay, this guy is good next to me, so I'm just gonna chill, and this guy also thinks this guy next to him is also good, so then you just end up like chilling, you know. And then I think we started off well. I don't remember.
Yeah, you did. You had like a 4-game win streak at the start.
And this was the worst thing that could happen to us because it ended up backfiring like really hard, you know, because no one really wanted it bad enough, including myself. Like in Spring Split, I was a big pussy, you know, like I wasn't requiring anything. Like I was just playing my game like I've always been doing, but it didn't work in that team because no one was able to lead that team. Like Hansama is a really good player, but he's quiet. Gorilla is also, you know, he's solid, but he doesn't have that like he couldn't create the synergy with Maxor because obviously they're different and their passion for the game was lacking. And top lane also was struggling because it was carry meta when he usually shines on like tanks, right? So we had to shift like our playstyle, and I don't know, there was just we were just too slow at improving, you know, like we weren't making the sacrifices that needed to be made. No one was taking enough responsibility or taking the lead. And yeah, we got to a point where everyone would just be triggered if you pointed out something, and it was just going wrong from the start, especially with like the early wins. I feel like that team needed like early losses to like realize how shit we were. But I don't think it would have mattered because everyone had such a big, like, we're not sacrificing for each other, you know. So then it's
okay. I mean, so how about the team now then, right? Because I think Razork, for example, has probably had the most massive improvement I've seen of any individual player in the LEC thus far. Like I initially thought Razork Denik were just going to play really hard prior to mid because that's what they did on Giants Gaming with Melitza, but instead Razork was a bit AFK for a while. But this weekend he was actually doing a lot. he was doing as much as he possibly could, and he was a real difference maker. And Denix obviously showing up in like skirmishes and team fights as well, especially versus Origin, where he showed Destiny how to actually play Rakan. Like how like is the current team like I guess is the atmosphere kind of everything you wanted last year to be, or is it like somewhere in between? Or
Yeah, honestly, it's really nice. Like, I mean, it's stressful, but it's nice, because every day I can see progress in the team, and also personally for myself as well. And I feel like I can lead them really well. I have so many things that I can share and that I see that they improve on when I try to explain stuff to them. And it's the same for the coaching staff, and it's fun because I feel like I have more than just a working relationship with those people. I feel like last year I only had working relationships with those people, but now I'm actually creating something more, and that's really helpful because I feel like it gives me confidence and my teammates as well, and it's just better experience overall, and it's just fun. Like I enjoy spending time with my team. I enjoy playing the game again. I feel like it's easy to just start League of Legends and just autopilot and forget why you actually started playing this game.
Well, the thing is, I'm just looking forward to this next game that Misfits plays because apparently,
me too.
Perks guy's just smurfing on the whole league, and finally, there's one person who's not a big pussy who's going to give him a challenge, right?
There you go. Hey, Febiven's never not being A2. All right.
Okay.
He gets a good team, he'll suddenly looking at it. I almost wrote an article about you 2 weeks ago where it was just going to be called "You Are Wrong About Febiven," but then I just decided to give you an extra week, and then you stop winning everything, so that's good. I have to write that article now. Just keep doing well, man. Like I think you've gotten like probably the level of skill that you are at versus the level of skill people think that you are at is probably the biggest discrepancy, and I'm glad you're showing everyone wrong. So I hope you do take out Perks because you can do it. And I just realized that I haven't talked to Carzzy at all. Like the whole time, so I'm going to ask Carzzy if his team environment's good as well because I don't know what else to do about that one. Yeah.
Well, my team environment, I've never been in better team environment, to be honest. Like we are all such a good friends, and I know you never feel threatened in this team, and you don't feel anxious or anything. Like when you int, and no one will be tilted or anything. Most of the times, or like someone is always tilted, but it's mostly just one person, so it doesn't matter that much.
Is this the first gaming house you've been in?
No, it's not. I lived in Spain.
Oh, okay.
I actually lived in like some Spanish ghetto.
Did you live in the... Wait, was that the Kif Foster? You had a gaming house for the Kif Foster? Really? Oh, wait, how old were you at that point? You like 15, 16? What?
I was 16, yeah.
Oh my god,
but
man.
I only lived there for 2 months, but it was like some ghetto. It was really bad.
You couldn't pay me to be in that gaming house. You literally couldn't. I would never deal with like that many 16-year-olds in one house. So,
but Lavrov didn't live there.
Lavrov didn't. Oh, okay. All right. Maybe somewhat manageable then with Aesthetic.
This video was kindly supported by Alexander Rao, Blunt Smoking Anus Destroyer, Dane Coskley, Dean Tanglis, Chi Mao, JDubs, NateDOhDoubleG, Peter the Feeder, Tobias Bernasconi, and a special thanks goes out to Jerky's Minion and Mohammed Al Abdul Razak. Do you want to suggest a topic or a guest for my content? Maybe you'd like to ask me a question in my monthly Patreon AMA. Would you like teasers on upcoming content that I'm doing? Maybe you want to take part in a discussion directly with me? Well, if so, then put your money where your mouth is and join the Scrilluminati today at the Patreon link in the description below.